I have to release my rankings. I feel like I have to do this. So here's the deal. I never do rankings. I only believe in power ratings. I've never really cared about rankings all that much. But in the power ratings world, it's all about neutral field favorability. I put out the JP poll every week, and every week it confuses people, but I explain it. So if you're confused after that, it's up to you. You don't have to agree with it, but it's kicked over an ant bed that's a lot bigger than I was ready for this year because our show's gotten so big that there's so many new viewers and listeners that the JP poll, when it's put in front of them, doesn't make sense. And I really feel like we've reached a tipping point where if that is the only exposure that someone's getting to our show, it is sullying the good name of our show before they ever give us a shot. So what am I going to do about that? Well, I thought to myself, continue to do the JP poll, immunity, but we are also tonight, and maybe tonight only, I don't know, going to deliver an actual top 25. I, for the next 5 minutes, am going to be an AP voter, and I'm going to tell you, if I had to rank teams, if I was a playoff committee member, and I had to rank teams, forget about neutral field, who would be favored over who. That's for Tuesday night. Forget that. No, this is about merit. This is about earning it on the field. This is about a body of work for this year. And many of you have played nobody. Some of you have already lost. Well, you know what? That just means if I'm going to really stick to my principles here, that means I'm not going to lie to you and say I didn't have a preseason idea on teams. But once the games have happened, I'm going to be about 10% working off my preseason idea and 90% what's happened on the field. Because to me, that's how rankings should work. So I'm going to do it in random order. I'm going to show you, for instance, Miami right now. Miami's ranked 5th in the AP. I would put them 3rd. That was a very impressive game they played the other night against Notre Dame. And look, you could argue them higher than that. I would go no lower than 3rd for Miami. Arizona State, I'd put about 16. Nothing against Northern Arizona really moved me one way or the other. They've got a much better shot going on the road in the SEC this weekend, so I'd have them 16. Michigan, going to see them in person Saturday night. Give me Michigan at 19. I'd put the Wolverines down there right now. AP's got them at 15. Not a ton of separation, and it's a moot point because if Michigan goes and dominates Oklahoma, Michigan probably vaults themselves up into the top 10. Florida State's ranking makes no sense to me. Not power rating. Their ranking makes no sense to me. The AP's got them at 14. Florida State's at 7 for me. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Florida State just pantsed Alabama on national television. And you can say what you want to about where Alabama should or shouldn't be ranked, and I'll get to that. But if you're telling me you're putting them at 14, that means you've seen 13 more impressive bodies of work so far this year than Florida State. Drugs. You are high. You're lying. What you're doing is you're too prideful to come off your own preconceived notions in the preseason. Now, if we're doing power ratings, that's okay. But that's not what we're doing. You dragged me into this world kicking and screaming, so I'm going to explain to you how your world should work. In your world, Florida State should be a bona fide top 10 team right now. I got them at number 7. I've got Notre Dame the exact same as the AP. I've got them at number 9. Okay? The most egregious omission from the top 15 this week was Utah. Utah is number 8 for me. Utah is a top 10 team because Utah committed some light crime against UCLA, and I know what happened. We all know what happened. Those of us who are really diehard and we love the sport, we were sitting up at 1:30 in the morning watching Utah. Most people with an AP vote were sound asleep. And that's why Utah is currently, 25th in the AP. It's such a joke. This is why I don't have time to be schooled about my power ratings by people whose rankings are this big a joke. Utah dominated week 1. I will virtually guarantee you there will be severe upward mobility. People will be so far behind the curve on them. Well, I'm not. I'm ahead of the curve. Well, actually, I'm just on the curve because I actually watched them play the other night. The audacity, by the way, of ranking teams after you watch them play. Utah, number 8. USF is ranked for me. I've got them 25th. The AP is like, USF? What? They played already? Yeah, you know who they played? They played the team every single one of you were picking to go to the playoff from the G5. Why do I get the sneaking suspicion, by the way, that if Boise would have won that thing by 3, they'd be ranked? But since USF won going away, they're not ranked. I'll tell you why. Preseason rankings. Nothing wrong with preseason rankings. Remember, I don't even do rankings except for this right now. But I've always told you, I got no problem with preseason rankings. But you got to be able to come off of those rankings once the season starts. You got to be able to keep about 10% of your preseason belief, and first few weeks, 90+% of your guidance should be based on what's happened on the field. Well, they convincingly beat a playoff projected team in Boise State. So they ought to be ranked. So they are for me. I've got South Carolina number 10. I've got them the same as the AP does. I've got Ohio State number 1, the same as the AP does. So I don't have much disagreement there. I know there was some talk about whether Ohio State should be 1 or LSU should be 1. If I'm ranking teams, guys, this is not that difficult. That team just won a national championship. They just took on an elite opponent, high-level opponent, and they beat them and led 14-0 in the fourth quarter. Like, until someone knocks them off or they look extremely vulnerable or someone else just looks above and beyond dominant, don't overthink the room. Ohio State's the number 1 team in the country. Ole Miss, I've got 5 spots higher than the AP. I've got Ole Miss at 15. I think the AP's got them at 20, right, Jesse? They went up and down the field on Georgia State. They got some impressive athletes. And I was watching that because we had Georgia State plus the points, and that didn't go the way we wanted it to. They ran it up on Georgia State. They go on the road this week to Kentucky. It's the kind of game where they have everything to lose and virtually nothing to win because they go smoke Kentucky. People will say it was Kentucky. And then if they don't, they'll plummet because they lost to Kentucky. I think they'll take care of business this week. I believe in them. Elaine, I believe in you. Again, don't embarrass me this week. Hey, really quick timeout. We'll get right back to the video. Do me one favor. Make sure you're subscribed. It helps us keep the show free. It helps us keep the lights on. It helps us keep doing college football year-round, and we appreciate it. All right, back to the video. LSU, number 2 team in the country. AP's got them at number 3. LSU just went on the road. Not only did they win a game on the road, actually, if you just watch the game, you understand there were a couple of calls that kept that from being a game where LSU won with margin on the road in the building of the preseason ACC title favorite. So, yes, LSU way up there, number 2. I got Oregon the same as the AP. I've got them number 6. Here's another team that not a lot of people watched last week, Tennessee. Tennessee was impressive to me. If I'm going to sit here and question Tennessee in the preseason, and then some of the things I questioned are strengths of their week 1 win over Syracuse, I'm rewarding that. I've got them number 13. The AP has them 22. Look, I will guarantee you that the game against Syracuse happened, and not a lot of people watched it because it was in a window where other big games were happening, and people just looked and said, okay, well, they beat Syracuse, and that's not a big deal. Their offensive line, the quarterback play, defensively, just so many things I had question marks about Tennessee on. 1 game sample size. I know that's all we have to go on. We're not projecting with this. This isn't power ratings. This is rankings. Tennessee's 13. I don't know why people aren't higher on them after their week 1 performance. Very impressive. Texas. All right, what do we do with them? I dropped them a fair amount because I've got to go on body of work. And the body of work for Texas right now is a loss, but it's a loss to the number 1 team in the country. Fair. They did rally back. They gave themselves an outside shot to win it late, but that offense was shaky. Matt Patricia will do that to you, as it turns out. I put Texas at 11. I put them a little bit lower than the AP, which has them at 7. And it doesn't matter what you're ranked, obviously, and plenty of opportunities to rebound. But I got to come down on you pretty harshly. When you're as anemic offensively as that, when you can't get it done inside the 10-yard line again, it's a lingering issue that we saw crop up last year. I'm going to put Texas at 11 right now. Iowa State, I'm pretty in line with what the AP thinks there. They've got them 16. I've got Iowa State 14. We will see them in person Saturday morning, Central Time, against Iowa. You might be wondering, oh, man, when's Bama going to pop up? When's Bama going to pop up? I don't have them ranked. Alabama's unranked for me. The AP's got them 21. Why would I rank Alabama? There are 25 bodies of work better than Alabama's right now. Indiana, I don't have ranked. I saw them struggle to put Old Dominion away. Took Old Dominion in the points, by the way, if you were listening on Friday Night Lines. The AP's got them 23rd. Not a ton of disagreement there, but I don't have Indiana top 25. Oklahoma is very, very conflicting for me because in the JP poll, I'm high on Oklahoma. Well, the model is, at least. And I picked Oklahoma to beat Michigan this weekend, who I have ranked 19th. But I do not have Oklahoma ranked. I think I have them 26. So just outside the top 25. They're coming off a bad year. Remember, it's tough for me to reprogram my mind to talk like this. But in rankings terms, why has Oklahoma earned a top 25 ranking? They came off a bad year. Yeah, they made moves. And if I'm predicting, I will predict Oklahoma to be a top 25 team. But they couldn't run the ball last week. Against Illinois State, they struggled to run the ball. Mateer looked good against inferior competition. But hey, I could say that about him at Washington State. I've yet to see him against legit competition, which happens this weekend against Michigan. But I've got Oklahoma just outside the top 25, and the AP has them 18 right now. Penn State, AP's got them 2. I've got them 4. It's just I've not seen them play anybody. I just saw what Miami and LSU and Ohio State did, so I'm rewarding those 3. It's not a punishment on Penn State. They've got plenty of opportunities coming up. I've got USC ranked 23rd. I've got USC. This is arguable. Like they could be 23rd. They could be 26th. I think that there's, again, a little pulse out there, maybe a little more pulse than the public is ready to admit. They scored like 147 points week 1 against a high school team. I got USC 23rd. You can debate that. That's fine. Georgia, I've got 5th. The AP has 4th. No real difference in opinion there. Illinois, I'm with the AP on them. So there's a lot of agreement here with the AP. I've got Illinois 12th. The AP has them 11th. SMU, same deal. I got SMU 18. The AP has them 17. I also agree on Texas Tech. They're at 24th. All right, here's one that will probably be a little controversial, but I just think it makes perfect sense. If we are ranking teams based on their body of work, why is Clemson number 8 in the country? Clemson got stoned in their own building. A game that honestly on the scoreboard was a lot closer than maybe it could have been or should have been at the end. That was dangerously close to LSU stretching that thing. And I got Clemson at 21. That is not that impressive a showing at all. I think their offense is very limited right now. There's a ways to go for that team. So I'm divorcing myself of preseason expectation. Doesn't matter what I thought about Clemson preseason. This is the rankings world, right? This is how it's supposed to work, Jesse, right? That's what y'all told me. So if we're going based on what we've actually seen, Clemson's not a top 15 team. They're number 21 right now. That's where they're parked. Be happy to be ranked. You did play my number 2 team. I will grant you, you could have scheduled a cream puff and won by 40, but yet you didn't, and you lost. So you're at 21 right now. Let's see. Florida, I'm a little bit lower on than the AP. Obviously, the JP poll would disagree, but I've got Florida 17. AP's got them 13. Let's fill this out, Bradley. I got A&M 20th. AP's got them 19. I've got Georgia Tech ranked. Georgia Tech committed the crime of playing too early. They go out to Colorado. They turn the ball over 3 times in the first quarter and still win the game. I think Georgia Tech's impressive. Haynes King may not survive half the season if they play him like they did the other night. So we're going to work on that. But I got Georgia Tech ranked. So, I mean, I don't get what's so difficult about this. As far as I can tell, rankings are judge a team based on merit instead of what they would be favored by against who on a neutral field. It seems very easy. People are making it very complicated. I don't know why.